Hello everyone. Okay, so I'm going to give you a Metasploit tutorial today, a little bit more in depth. The last one that I did, the third tutorial, we went over actually going in depth and using it. And today I'm going to further that a little bit. And we're going to include something else, reporting. As you do these jobs, you need to be documenting everything. So that's important because you have to give these reports and all to your client that you're doing the pen testing for. Now, the tool I use for that is Cherry Tree. It's been around for a long time. It looks pretty basic. Looks like a text editor, but it's got a ton of tools, and it's actually a lot more powerful than it looks. And you can set up nodes and in a tree form, this cherry tree. Every little cherry has information. I'm using our good friend Metasploitable for this. I have set up in my testing lab. Okay. Now, what I do to begin with, say I've got the victim machine open here. We'll just pretend that that's a client we're doing work for. That's their server. Okay. So I make a folder for whatever the client's name is. Could be the name of the company or whatever. I just put meta victim here. Okay. So then I open the folder, and then what I do is I right click in there and I do open terminal. And the reason I open the terminal from in here is because then every time we do some sort of scan or something to save the file, it will save it right directly into that folder and not somewhere else, so we don't have to copy it over. It automatically saves here. And then as I get different scans and such, I import them into Cherry Tree. Like here I already have nmap, and I'm going to explain why I have two different nmap posts here in just a moment. Okay, so we got the basic info. This would be the name of the company and their IP address, maybe their work address and our contact information and stuff like that. Okay, that's what I normally put here. Now you can do this your way. I'm showing you how I do this. There are other applications that you can use for this, like Burp Suite and stuff like that are very useful and have a lot more functions, but you're going to be paying for them. So if you want a free version, this is something I use. Cherry Tree is open source. You just have to do a little bit more of the legwork. It doesn't have automatic features like something like Maltego or Burp Suite would have on it. Now, Maltego does have a community edition, Maltego right here, that you can use. Pipple does some reporting work on password dumps, so Pipple information I could add to here also. Alright, but this is how I set up my reports. And when you save this, you can save it as a SQLite database file right here. Okay, so I can actually open this in a SQLite database and use it or utilize it in that manner. Okay, maybe you have an app that works with the database system or whatever, or the client does, but that can be handy also. Or you can save it in an XML format. There are various formats you can save it in. You can create nodes. So I do basic info, and my first node is for scan reports. Okay, from like nmap. Okay, now I'm going to create another node because I'm fixing to do something else. Add a subnode, and we're going to call this one loot. Okay, I'm going to bold that. And you can add keywords and stuff like that. I want mine as plain text. Okay, and save, and there's my loot node. Okay, and I'm going to say, let's see, loot captured during pen testing. Okay, just for my own special note. I'm going to save that again. Okay, now I'm going to minimize that, get it out the way. Now I've already determined the IP address of our target, okay, just to save some time, and I've already run an nmap scan. Now the particular nmap scan I ran was this one right here. Okay, now I redid this to bring this up here to show you and go through it. Now when I ran it the first time, what I did was I output it to a file, and I did that with OG, okay, and what that did is it put it into like a greppable version of the file of the pertinent information, so I can do grep searches and such on that file in a hurry if I need to. But then I also copied a human readable version, which is just grabbing all this and copying it into a text file. So I also have that version, okay. Now, and I'm going to go straight from the window here where my Metasploit is running. Now, in the last video for this, I was showing you how it was interesting they had an IRC server running in the back with an obvious vulnerability. And so I'm going to take you back to that, and I'm going to take that a step further today. See, IRC, Unreal IRC to backdoor, looks like it's Trojan, blah, 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 blah. We went over that in the third video for Metasploit. So I'm going to show you how that's valuable now. We're going to take that a little bit further. So let's do grep Unreal. Well, if we type in the right place here, there we go. Grep Unreal search exploits. Okay. Alright, here's what we have. It gave us one good exploit for it, which is all we need, because it's for that particular item, so it makes sense to only have one. And this is the code for it. Now I can put use and the exact path here, or I can put use and a number, and I'm just going to use the number. Okay, so now we selected that exploit. Okay, options. Alright, so here are the options for it. Alright, now the remote host, let's go ahead and set that. Our host. Set our host to 192.168.32.148. That's the IP address of our victim right here. Okay, this is the server that we're pen testing. That's the target. Okay, our host is remote host. Okay, it's already got the port set. The IRC port, that's a common IRC port, 6667. Okay, so we'll look again. Options. You can do show options or just options. And okay, set our IP. These options here are they're not needed. Okay, we don't have to fill that in or anything. This one we do, that one we have. Okay, now while we're on this particular exploit, let's do show payloads. Particular payloads that are available for this one. Okay, so these are the payloads that pertain to this exploit in particular. So it doesn't give us a whole list of a gazillion different types of payloads we have to sort through. That's why we use the show payloads command after we've selected the exploit. It'll show us the payloads this can use. And I'm liking this one right here, Unix reverse. Okay, so that's number 6. And again, you can use the number or the path. At this point, I like using the path. Set payload and paste our path in there for that particular payload, and it's grabbed it. Okay. Options once again, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Local host. Now, see, we need a local host because we're doing a reverse connect. So set lhost, which would be our internal IP address, our external depending upon what you're doing, 192.168.32.147, and or I can do our card connection. In this case, I'm using the Ethernet because we're doing this internally, of course, with our testing lab. You would set that to whatever is applicable to your situation. Okay. Alright, so options once more, just to double check, everything's set up, the way it's supposed to go, all looks good. Okay, so we can either type exploit or run. I'm going to do run. And it looks like it's already connecting here. Look at that, command shell session open. Session 1. Okay. So let's see if we've got it. Yeah, there we go. There's a list. So we're in the server now. Now we're in the Unreal directory because it's a backdoor used through Unreal. If I do help, it gives us the commands we can use in this shell. Okay. We can switch to another session. We could have 2 or 3 different connections to different types. Spawn an interactive shell, download, etc., etc. Alright, so let's do this. Let's go back. And now let's do a list. Okay, now see, we're out of the Unreal directory and we're getting into the server. Let's scroll up here. See? Got all the servers, directories, and files. Okay, now I don't see X yet. I want to get to the X directory because that's where the good stuff is. So let's go back again, another level. And list. Here we go. Looks like we're at that directory section now because I'm seeing familiar things. Home, Act. Look at there. So now let's go into Act list. Now I'm gonna find. Look at here. We got a shadow file. That's very interesting for our use. Let's open that one up. We'll do cat shadow. Okay, now here's all our password hashes. Now look at there. There's the root password hash. Now you're saying, well, it's hash. It's going to be useless. No, not exactly. So I'm going to grab all that information, and I'm going to create a file over here. Again, I'm going to use plain text. I'll call it shadow. Alright, and we're going to put all of our information there, all of our hashes. Okay, save that. Yes. Now I'm going to make sure I keep up with my stuff here. So I'm at loot. Now I'm going to go to loot and I'm going to say, oh, that's right, I got to do this from the main menu. With loot selected, I'm going to do import from plain text file, our shadow text, and put it into the selected node. There we go. So now we got our shadow text there, and click on that, and there's all of our shadow hashes and information. Now you may be wondering, what can you do with this? Okay, all right, well, I'm going to go back over here. Let's minimize that. And I'm going to click on that. And let's see. Let's do copy. And I'm going to paste it right there in the same directory. Here's a copy of it. Now let's rename it. And what I'm going to rename it to is Shadow PASSWD. Okay. Alright, you see that? Now I'm going to show you why I did that. Clear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit this because I'm not going to go any further in this one. To go beyond this at this point. Cancel the session. There we go. Now if we check sessions, no active sessions. Jobs, no jobs, good. Okay, so I'm going to exit that, and we're out of that now. Okay, so now I'm going to stay inside this directory with my terminal. Now I've got this shadow file here with the hashes in it. So let's take John, and let's put in the name of our shadow file, and let's let's see, I believe I can do show, and it will show the passwords in plain text and an easy to read view too. Let's see what happens. There you go. Oh man, that was quick. Now it's got 6 password hashes that it cracked. It says it's got 1 left, so I could run a straight system on that. Sys, password Batman. Klog, passwords 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. MSF admin, passwords MSF admin. See, user, service. So we've already got passwords and stuff here that we can use, and shows permissions and things that they're given. So very handy. Now let's do like this. Okay, now it's going to continue using the built-in John password list, trying to figure out what the rest of the hash passwords are. And this is just like cracking PCAP or CAP file with hashes in it to get a Wi-Fi password. Same thing, I'm using a dictionary attack against it to find the passwords. So now this will go on for quite a while, so I'm not going to wait for it to finish. I'm just demonstrating how you would do this. Now, if this didn't find it, all I have to do is rerun this process again, but tell John to use a different word list to compare it to, like the Rocky list, or one you've created, or one you've downloaded, or whichever dictionary or word list that you want to use. And it will go through and check every single one of them. So eventually I'd get to the root password, and it'll take some time, but that's it. Yeah, eventually I'll get it. You can even do the crunch dynamic password cracking against it, like I had shown you in another video, where you have crunch pipe characters into aircrack, so you don't actually need a list. It dynamically creates the list. It's almost like using rainbow tables, so very handy. Goes through a whole bunch. Takes a long time. The bigger in battery or processor in your RAM, the quicker this will go. This works on your processor speed, and so if you don't have a big, huge, beefy computer, it'll take longer. That's just the rules of the game. That's how it works. The faster your computer is, the bigger the processor, the quicker it can go through the list and compare these. Okay, and I'm going to stop it right there. I can restart it, and it'll pick up where it left off without me having lost anything. But you see the advantage of this, and don't let anybody tell you, oh, it's a hash, the purpose of it, you can't crack that. Well, yeah, as pen testers, yes, we can. And I just showed you that. So that all came from an IRC server backdoor that got us in here. That's all we needed, was a door in. And once we got in, I was able to back out of that IRC directory and get into the main system and grab their password file for everything on this system, on this server. So that's how easy it is to get into that. You just have to do your research and go through there. And I could have even opened an interactive shell with that and done some commands and stuff like that if I wanted. I can download files with the shell we had, the backdoor, and you can also upload. So I could upload my own payload in here to keep it persistently checking for a listener without them even knowing about it. So I could come back anytime, just open a listener, and boom, it automatically connects, which is fantastic, for our purposes as a pen tester. All right, so that's what I want to show you today. Hope you learned something, and have a good one, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.